Hey everybody, welcome back to Left on Red. The last time I had played this game and I recorded it, I had said that I would do the realistic mode. And here we are. I actually did look into it because I've recorded this a couple times and I just kind of sat here and I didn't realize this game it actually uh first off it actually has a speed running community, a pretty decent one, not like a huge group of people necessarily, but there is one that exists. And inside of this community, for realistic mode, is that we have to sit here for the next 4 minutes for the message to be read. So I mostly just kind of wanted to take this video just to kind of chat and kind of go over a few things. Uh, and first, I gotta actually find the document of or the script of what I wanted to talk about here because there's quite a few things that I actually do want to discuss. So I'm gonna actually take this as being like a somewhat of a channel update video. To kind of talk about a few things, my stuff that's kind of going around for what this channel is gonna be kind of going into. But first, kind of give a little bit of an introduction to myself. Not many people, like nobody here knows actually who I am. And I do like that. I plan on keeping it that way for at least for a while. But I am a senior in high school. I am also actually a college student as well. I do dual enrollment. I'm thinking about going into the teaching career. Did not know the Air Keys actually did that. But I'm either going into video editing because that's a huge passion of mine that I like to do. As well as teaching, just for the fact that I've had a lot of teachers with who have either a handful of teachers who have left a huge impression on me, as well as many teachers who have just not and seemed like they didn't even want to leave an impression on their students. And those teachers who have left that impression have really done a lot for me, like mentally, and to kind of figure out a lot of what I wanted to do. Uh, this channel, one of my friends who was my short uh time girlfriend. I do hope to possibly have her in for some content. We did have a few ideas. Rudd's gonna be involved in them too. So hopefully we can bring in a few more people into the channel. We have a few group projects that we want to work on with other people outside of us three, or with anyone who's been involved in like Twitch streams or the channel in general. But the reason why I'm finally actually uploading content to the channel is because I actually got a new PC. During the summer I was working a lot, and now I'm fine. I was saving up to get a computer. I got a Omen HP computer. It has some pretty decent specs and everything. I can run most games really well as with OBS in the background. So the only issue that I'm having is a short SSD. I'm planning on upgrading that soon, but I was hoping to get a PC so I can actually do stuff with this channel. And I have a couple of big projects already planned. I want to do things like uh, custom mods for Call of Duty World at War. Back years ago, I used to play a ton of custom zombies maps, and it was so much fun, and they were so creative and everything. Easily better than the majority of current day zombies content. But I also want to do like some Phasmophobia and Minecraft stuff and a bunch of other things. Like I even have some Pokemon challenges I want really want to do, and I'm actually working on a couple of them, and I'm hoping to have it finished before Halloween. But I honestly do not think it's gonna get out anywhere soon, anytime soon. But it's definitely something really interesting that I'm pretty sure someone's already done. But this is something that I really want to try to do and have a bit of fun with. It's not themed to any holiday though. It's not themed to Halloween at all. That was just kind of like what I wanted to do as like my deadline, but it's very clear that I'm not gonna have it done by then. Even if I work on it as much as I possibly can, it probably would be done by Thanksgiving at that point. It's just miserable. Like I'm about 3 pages into the script, and about half of that is just me complaining about the challenge. It's dreadful, but I'm excited to see how it turns out because I hope that I do hope that it's worth it in the end. I am also planning on upping production quality, especially when it comes to my speed runs. That's a lot of the content I've been posting lately, and it's not going anywhere. Hoping to get Dolphin working. I'm having a bit of an issue with ROMs and that. With that, but hopefully Mortal Kombat Deception will no longer just be a camera pointed at a TV while I play. But if I don't do that, I will have a capture card where I'll just be able to play uh, still on the hardware without using emulators. But also with Doom, I am working on practicing SR50, which, if you don't know what SR50 is, it's basically being able to strafe and walk at run at the same time, and it calculates your speed just be 10. I honestly don't know if it would be like 10 frames per second, like of movement, or not, like what it's actually called. But a lot of top runners, or every top runner uses it because it's so much faster. If you compare like my current time on Bad Dream to the current world records, it is entirely different because of the fact that they can use SR50 and I couldn't because of the controller. Most controllers aren't able to use SR50, whilst keyboard and mouse you can because all you need to do is hold W and A or W and D, and you can use SR50. But back on the topic of Dolphin, that allows me to possibly go through a lot of childhood games that I played and be able to enjoy them again and record them, as well as being able to do things with friends over the emulator and everything. And I do really want to play some of those other games I never really got an opportunity to play, like Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. But I do want to like I said, I want to play that. I also want to play The Simpsons Hit and Run, as well as a bunch of other games that I hope to play. Shadow of the Colossus is another one. Probably play the PS2 version. I'm looking forward to playing the games I either loved long ago or just classics I never got to play. Uh, I really have nothing else to kind of say about that. I was kind of expecting this to kind of be read by now, and we can actually like kind of continue on here. But the speedrun for this game is actually about it's a little under 40 minutes. It's about 38, 36. So it's long and it's mostly it's at least the speedrun record is only like 3 texts long, or 4 texts I should say. So I guess, another thing I could actually talk about is like I had said was, I am a Mortal Kombat Deception speedrunner, and I've actually had a pretty big role in the game that probably not many people would know about, mainly because Mortal Kombat Deception speedruns are not very popular, which is unfortunate because it's honestly a great game. And personally, myself, I gotta say it's easily my favorite Mortal Kombat game. But when it came to Mortal Kombat Deception, the original leaderboard when I came into it was playing as Cobra in spamming one combo. But when I started playing, I did not enjoy playing as Cobra. I was leaning more towards like Sub Zero or Cabal and Noob Smoke. But and so I was like, all right, I want to try to strategize come up with a strategy that would be better or about the same as Cobra. In which then I decided I would start playing as random characters. In which then I stumbled upon Darius, which one of his combos using gauntlets was doing a significantly larger amount of health on the opponent than Cobra would. And so I brought it up to them. I'm like, hey, I think there might be something better than Cobra. And I'm like, Darius here does, 20 is like 25%. So like, you get this combo like 4 times and the round's over. So I'm like, that's substantially better than Cobra. So people started trying it out, and it's like, oh yeah, this works, and like other people started like, oh, Li Mei, oh, Ashra, Hotaru, like people, like members of the community started working together and kind of formulating our strategies of what is the best character. Which I brought it up to one of the moderators, and I'm like, why don't we just have a leaderboard for every character? That way, even if Cobra's still the speedrunning meta character, there's opportunities for people who don't like Cobra or just struggle with the combo. In which then we started kind of formulating how that would work out and everything. Then we kind of worked together and trying to figure out, well, we could take out load times because you look at my speed runs and oh hey, it's been red. Anything? No? Okay. Back to what I was saying. When it came to we started talking about the load times, and like if you watch my speed runs, you can tell that most of my video, like my load times, are substantially longer, and that is because my disc has a slight amount of damage, so my runs would be slower. My runs would already be at a deficit because of a few seconds of load time. So we're like, all right, why don't we just take out the load times, and then we could also put together emulator and real hardware, because really the only difference between emulator and hardware is the load times. The hardware is substantially better, or substantially worse than an emulator. Or not that big of a difference, but it is a noticeable difference. And so we're like, all right, what we'll do is take the level leaderboards and make them all the characters. Plus, we will also put emulator and real hardware together, as well as adding the difficulty options that are there now. Being able to play any percent, which is pure any percent, which is any difficulty, any time, any rounds. Actually, I think that's only. I think it requires 2 rounds still. But you have that, and then there is standard, which is playing on any difficulty, but with the 2 rounds and the timer, required timer. Which finally then there's the max difficulty, which is the standard from before. So we kind of formulated that together. And a few other things that we did was set up more uh, chess combat ones. I got bored one day when I was doing regular chess combat. I'm like, I want to get to the perfect. I want to be able to take out the entire board. So I did that, and I was like, I brought it up to Wednesday, to Wednesday. I'm like, hey, there's this idea I have. I put up the video on my channel, and I'm like, hey, check it out. See if that's something we could add to the leaderboard. So we added that, and then also came my own pride and joy of a meme speed run in Dog Percent. It was just something I was sitting there screwing around with because I was leading the efforts to write out a 100% of Conquest, and I'm still doing that. And I barely touched it because it is easily the most tedious thing in the game because there's so many side quests that you have to do, so much time you have to skip, so many things you have to pick up. I don't see that run being done in the next year. The rest of 2021 is going to pass, and possibly even all of 22, until we see a single attempt at that run. Because there's so much mapping that still needs to be done that I need to do, that the community hopefully can help out with. And I'm hoping that something can be brought up about that soon. I just need to actually kick it back into high gear and start working on it. But it's kind of hard with everything going on in my life right now. Hopefully soon I can get it up and I can get working on it. But yeah, Dog Percent came out and everything. So over the past it's about 6 months, the Mortal Kombat Deception speedrunning community or leaderboards have been completely flipped on their head. Uh, it was learned that Astra is actually the better pick compared to Cobra, and the record is now held by an Astra player. So to have been part of that for me has been a huge achievement because I brought a niche game for speedrunners, and I kind of brought it up. Like since I came in, we saw a handful of players finally like come in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna try. Like even established members start throwing their hats in the ring into like Dog Percent, even as like a joke, because like it was a huge thing in the Discord. I was like, we that was a huge joke for like a month or two. So like everyone was doing it. Not many people got on the leaderboards just because like people weren't really like submitting it. They were just kind of doing it for fun. Wednesday completely breaking the game and beating it in a minute and a half. Like the game has seen such a resurgence, and I personally myself I think it deserves it. It's definitely an underrated game. Everyone's hated on it for years, and now that it's the game is 17 years old. God, actually, I think it's 18 now because it was released in May. I think it was. I know it was released in the spring of 2003. But the game is ancient, and ever since it was released, everyone had kind of was like, oh, it's garbage. Oh no, it was actually released in 2004, in October of 2004. It is its birthday just passed, just a few days ago, October 4th. 2004. Mortal Kombat Deception is 17 years old, and to see the community that's come out of this now, after 17 games of 17 years of people kind of hating on it because these characters are garbage, which is understandable. Ashra, Dairu, Darius, Kira, Cobra, Hotaru, just kind of all those new characters, and Chujinko especially, uh, became some of the most hated characters for next to no reason. But now, looking back on the game, to me, it's such a great roster. Like they tried a lot of new things, and clearly by Armageddon it didn't work. So these new characters, they either didn't use them at all or were there for 5 minutes. Like Cobra and Kira. Cobra had a couple lines and you had to fight with Cobra. But other than that, you didn't face Dairu, you didn't fight Kira, you didn't fight Darius, you didn't fight Hotaru, you didn't fight Ashra, you didn't even talk to any of those other characters except for Kira. Havoc also really wasn't even a part of the story, even though Havoc I feel like is the only character that really ever was liked by anybody over the years. Hopefully, we get to see something of Havoc soon. He was a huge part of the MKX comics, but I don't know. Deception is a huge place in my heart, and I'm glad to have been part of the speedrunning community, and I'm glad that I'm going to be able to advance the game a lot more over the coming time. Although one thing I wish they wouldn't sit here and take more time on is this goddamn text. I don't know. This should not be taking this long. I've been recording for 23 minutes, and the only thing I got is red. I don't know. I mean, I guess I had a lot to talk about, and I really didn't have any other ideas of how to do this. Like putting together like a big old video with a bunch of like clips of like Overwatch or something. So I guess it was nice to kind of say that kind of a hey, how's it going? That message right there, just kind of hopefully someone found this enjoyable, kind of get to learn a bit more about a speedrunning community that really isn't talked about all that much. But hopefully someone enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And I might come back to this if I figure out how to make this kind of work a little bit better. I think that there's there's very clearly ways that you can go about this. I just need to kind of figure it out a bit more. So hopefully, maybe we'll get back to it. Maybe we get to see the full-on conclusion in realistic mode. And I guess that's all I got.